Hello, everybody. My name is Josiah Prey. Today we're going to be talking about, or today, hello, everybody. My name is Josiah Prey. Today we are going to be exploring the seven different cultural dimensions from Trompenaars model. So I'm going to be covering the St. Vincent and the Grenadines culture and also America. So, because, I'm American. So let's get into it. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a couple of little bit of facts about them. The country includes 7 million residents. There's 32 islands in the Grenadines, along with the Cays, the Mystique, and Cancun being some of the most popular, some of the most touristy islands. St. Vincent was discovered by Christopher Columbus, fun fact, in 1498, and they recently gained their full independence from the British, what is that, 46 years ago? And they actually sound similar to Jamaicans who were also conquered by the British, but Jamaicans speak patois and they use slang. So whenever I got there on the island after like being there for like a week, I was like, they don't use any of the cool words that Jamaicans use. All the funny slang they have. So it was kind of a disappointment, but still it's a great place to visit. The country's location. So here we are in Central Florida, if you could see my cursor. Here we are over here, but if you follow us all the way down the strip, you get to St. Vincent and the Grenadines right here. So here's the Grenadines, and Union Island is right here. So Union Island is actually 3 miles long and 1 mile wide. So it's a very small island, but whenever you're actually driving around on it, like to like the different cities on the island, it feels like it takes forever. So um why I chose the Grenadines is because I have family there. This is oh no, go back. This is my aunt, this is her husband, and these are the neighbors, and this is also my uncle. My grandpa built a house there back, I don't even know how long ago, but he built a house there and we visit probably every 3 to 5 years. We go back and just, experience the island life. So it's really an amazing venture. And taking this class was really amazing opportunity to learn more about my culture because if I go there every 3 to 5 years, I don't get to really spend too much time learning new things about the culture. So, I'm glad I was able to spend some time on it in this class the past 7 weeks. The introduction to Trompenaars' cultural dimensions. His dimensions of culture goes into detail about cultural value, how culture values shapes people's behavior, leadership skills, and communication. Introducing ideas like neutral versus emotion dimensions, Champanars breaks down how much value culture emphasizes in their rules, emotions, and time management and status. I chose this model because it is a baseline for a simple, practical understanding of cultural differences. When it comes to comparing cultures like St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the United States, the scores are able to highlight a noticeable difference. So let's get to the scores. The green will be St. Vincent and the blue will be America. And as you can see, just by looking at the base, America scores very highly in almost every, I mean, very highly in their dimensions, in their dimensions. So, and then you have St. Vincent, which is doesn't even get above 40. So they're kind of not completely opposite, but they are different. They're different cultures. They don't think alike. So let's get into how they do think. First up, we have the universalism versus particularism. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, relationships often take precedence, whereas in the United States, rules are typically prioritized over personal connections. So, um, in Union Island, I think this is because um everybody's connected together because it's not, like I said, it's 3 miles long and 1 mile wide. So if you grow up on the island and you're there for 10 years, maybe not even like probably like after 6 years, you know everybody and everybody knows you. So it's not hard to meet everybody on the island or even meet people from other islands and know them really well whenever you travel because it's such a tight-knit community. Um, and they're able to create those personal connections versus the United States. Um, we don't have that. We don't have that sense of community. Like we have, say we have different hobbies. Say we have roller skating, that's our separate community. We have work, that's a community, and we have people in our neighborhood. Like we have separate communities, but all say in Union Island, all the communities kind of blend into one. Specific versus diffuse. In specific cultures like the United States, relationships are often task focused, while diffuse cultures like St. Vincent, more connections blend personal and professionalism realms, and they're more community based, like I just mentioned. Um, so the United States scored a 90 in their task focus because we separate our lives. We don't, whenever we go to work, we don't talk too much about home. Like you can work across somebody for 5 years and you can learn something new about them only if you just open up your mouth and talk to them, right? But that's just not something that we do. We don't really create new conversations. We go, hey, how's your day going? Everything cool? All right, good. Talk to you tomorrow, right? It's not, we don't really get too much deeper than that. So, um, with a country like St. Vincent, who's more diffuse, they tend to blend their culture. So, um, if you go to work with them, you'll end up probably knowing everything about them. They like to be more verbal with their when it comes to their personal life. Sequential versus synchronic. Synchronic. In the US, sequential approach to time emphasizes strict schedules, while St. Vincent's synchronic views allows for flexibility and relationship building. So in the US, we always try to get done things done as efficiently as possible. So if we have a problem, we try to figure out A, how is the fastest way for us to solve this problem to get from A to B, a straight line, right? Um, if they had that same problem in, say, St. Vincent, it might not be a straight line. It might be like a little curvy. Um, Obviously, they do still solve the problem in the end, but they don't find the fastest, simplest way to get there. Um, America is much more strict when it comes to this. Like um, they believe that their time is wasted and they just have to prove their productivity every single day. With St. Vincent and the Caribbeans, you have your island time. Like that's such a thing. It's such a real thing. People relax, people take days off, people don't go to work every day. Like it's you get to sit out on a beach and just kick your feet up and do nothing all day if you wanted to. So they don't take themselves as serious or their work as serious as an American would. So fun fact, while I was on the island, this Navy vessel came to pick up somebody that committed a crime, whatever, whatever, right? Captain Hugh Mozak is my great grandfather. So that was really cool to see his name on the ship. And he was actually the first African American captain, Navy captain of the Navy, captain of the Navy. So that was extremely cool to see. And then we have neutral versus effective. Oh, back. Neutral versus effective. St. Vincent is more effective with people showing emotions openly and building connections through expression, while USA is more neutral valuing self-control and professionalism. So in America, if we tend to have like constant lashing out at people, if we're constantly expressing ourselves, being very vocal and very loud, then we might get written up or even let go. Um, we care about our jobs because they're very hard to get. It's very hard to come by a job here in America that pays well for, like a corporate job, right? So, we tend to keep ourselves under control because, we have the fear of losing our job. In the Caribbean, um, they don't have this problem, so they're just naturally more energetic. Like you'll hear if you were doing a business transaction with somebody from there, if there was a problem if there was a problem that they had with the situation, they would let you know probably immediately. If you think about the whole Caribbean, actually, probably like Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico had a effective score of 7. That means that they are some of the loudest, effective people expressive people that you will meet. So, I don't know what it is about the Caribbean, but they really like to express themselves. And I have seen it in business practices as well. They are the personalities in the room. Achievement versus description. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, social status and family background can play a significant role in personal opportunities and respect. So say your father's a politician and you have a better opportunity to say if say your neighbor is a family of bakers. In America, you guys would have the equal opportunity. Obviously, the politician's son would have more knowledge about politics, but you know, you um, in the Caribbeans, if you wanted to say the baker wanted to be a politician, he wouldn't get that level of respect only because he has nothing on his family's resume that proves that he knows what he's doing. So they scored a 37, which means that they really respect having that name to you or uh being a man is highly more favored in politics than being a woman. Um some little things like that they value versus America. Then we have individualism versus communitarianism. The United States places a high value on personal achievement, independence, and self-expression. We tend to create our own success, while also taking solo responsibility for our own failures. Vinci culture scored a 29, reflecting a communitarian culture. And Vincian society, group loyalty, family ties, and mutual support take priority over any one person's success. They're more likely to define themselves in terms of their relationship and community rather than their own hobbies. In the workplace, this means Americans are focused on personal advancement, while Vincentians are likely to prioritize their social connections and collective goals. And we have internal versus external. The United States has a high internal score that emphasizes the belief that individuals shape their own destiny. So we here have, as everybody knows, as maybe like the whole world knows, we have the American dream. You have the opportunity to be who you want to be, and it doesn't matter what kind of background you come from, what your last name is, what gender you are. Everybody has a chance to become somebody. So that's why people want to move here. That's why we have such a great opportunity because anybody can make it. Americans are generally taught to take the initiative, set personal goals, and assert control over their environment. Right? We make our own leaders. Leaders are made here. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, control leans a little bit more towards harmony with the environment and external circumstances. Vincentians are more accepting of things beyond their control and may value patience, flexibility, and spiritual support over personal force. These differences can affect how each culture deals with challenges, where Americans may push to make things happen, Vincentians might choose to let things unfold and naturally happen. And then you have the Christian perspective on unity and diversity. Oh, the Bible teaches us to accept and love everybody, right? Bible teaches us to love and accept everybody, and we're called to love one another despite our differences. So, um, if somebody were to come to America and they didn't know anything or didn't know any English, anything about our culture, it's our job to take them in, accept them as they are, and try to catch them up to speed as best we can. But sending any type of hate towards their way wouldn't be the Christian ideal to a foreigner, or vice versa. If we go out, we have to show we have to put our best foot forward and show respect towards people and not just try to disrespect and just put our faith in it, right? And the biblical principles of unity. Ephesians 4:3 is make every effort to keep the unity through the bond of peace, right? It encourages us to maintain the spirit of unity. And then you have your cultural appreciation of faith. And this, I believe that's why it's so important to travel and just see how different cultures react to different situations and still be successful in it. Because when we grow up, we always think that there's one way to do it. And if we don't do it that way, then it's wrong, right? But taking this class and being able to travel has shown that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And that's a saying my dad says. I know it's kind of weird. Um, uh, there's more than one way to do things. So, traveling and seeing really God's creation of he, um, how this culture can have so much success and have a different game plan and respect their people differently than how we do it. It just it gives you it renews your faith almost, which is really amazing. And then we have our cultural comparisons, the cultural identity. St. Vincent celebrates diverse traditions reflected in its vibrant festivals and events. A little story. When I was there, me and my siblings, we got invited to a party, right? So we're like, oh, awesome, a party. And then they told us later that it was a boat ride. So it was over to the next island. So it was like a 30-minute boat ride. And we were like dumbfounded because like you have to take a boat to the next island to party, have a good time, and then come back home, right? But they've just been doing it for years. It's so natural to them to have parties, travel, island hop. That's just how their culture does things. So as a foreigner, uh, yeah, as a foreigner, it was an eye opener. Their leadership styles in the U.S. leadership is often emphasizes individual achievement and assertiveness in teams, and then communication approaches. Both cultures prioritize effective communication, yet use different styles to convey messages. And I feel like Trompenaars' seven different cultures of dimensions help you help really anybody to different cultures uh, understand how different cultures are able to just understand different cultures and how they're able to express themselves to allow us. the reader to become more culturally educated, to understand more about their culture, because it is different than what we've ever known before. And in order to not really step on any toes per se, I believe it is important to become more culturally diverse and understanding. And thank you. Woo! Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.